Hello, my name is Naima Royal, and this is my presentation on Straight Outta Compton negotiations and deal. In this presentation, we are going to discuss the backstory for the Straight Outta Compton film, the original negotiations between Warner Brothers, the bargaining positions, the underlying interests, neutral criteria, and Warner Brothers Sunsets Clause, as well as the BATNA and New Deal with Universal. Also, the renegotiation and summary will finish up this presentation. So, Straight Outta Compton is a biopic drama based on the legendary rap group NWA. The rap group was founded in 1985 and consisted of 5 original members: Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, MC Ren, and DJ Yella. NWA was known for its controversial gangster rap lyrics. They were criticized for their misogynistic undertone and anti-police anthems like Fuck the Police. And the group pushed the limits of their First Amendment rights with their reality raps about growing up in Compton and South Central Los Angeles. In 2002, work began on the original NWA story, which focused on the life of Eazy-E, the lead member of the NWA and owner of Ruthless Records. Eazy-E controlled the rights to NWA's music, and he had passed away in 1995 at the age of 31 from AIDS. He left his wife Tamika Woods Wright in charge of the group's musical legacy as well as his life rights. In the original deal with negotiations with New Line Cinema, Tamika was brought in as a producer before Ice Cube came aboard and spearheaded the project. In the initial negotiations, Ice Cube had to work really hard to get Dr. Dre on board with the project. The original deal for Straight Outta Compton was between Ice Cube and Dr. Dre with New Line Cinema. As executive producers, Ice Cube and Dre wanted $25 million to create a legendary biopic about their infamous rap group. New Line was acquired by Warner Brothers, and before the deal was completed, Warner Brothers' bargaining position was $15 million and a distribution deal. The original dealmakers' underlying interest was that they had spent over 6 years in the development phase of the project, and the studio was taking a risk by supporting this project because of the group's reputation as one of America's most controversial groups. Dr. Dre and Ice Cube wanted to take control of their legacy and create a story that turned into a drama with 3 equal leads: Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, and Ice Cube. The deal fell apart with Warner Brothers because they were unwilling to budge from their budget for the film. Warner Brothers justified their bargaining position by using neutral criteria that, looking at other music and African American themed pictures, it wanted to limit Compton's costs to the mid-teens. The prevailing wisdom at the time was that movies from African Americans didn't play well overseas. Unfortunately, the negotiations for this deal was unsuccessful, and the producers luckily had a BATNA in place to shop the story with other studios. Warner Brothers also was able to protect themselves by including a sunset clause in early on in the negotiations, which allowed them to receive 5% of net profit out of Straight Outta Compton if it was ever produced. Warner Brothers BATNA was that if the deal didn't work out, they were going to get their 5% from net profits, and also that they were able to receive profits from home entertainment and pay and broadcast television. For the producers, the agreement was that they were able to find another studio to finance the project. Warner agreed to this proposition as well. Ice Cube and Dr. Dre were able to secure a deal with Universal Studios. Universal agreed to finance the film, cover the advertisement costs, and in return received a distribution deal of 10 to 12%. The producers were able to receive their requested $29 million for production and hire director F. Gary Gray, and this new deal with Universal worked because the studio saw the potential for the film to capture international audiences. Langley at Universal stated that, "I would argue that everybody knows hip-hop," says Langley, explaining why she's convinced Straight Outta Compton will fill theaters overseas as well as at home. There probably isn't a culture in the world that doesn't engage in rap in some way. Both parties' mutual interest was to tell was to tell the raw and authentic story for the notorious group. Universal supported the project by hiring a new writer to give the story the edge it needed to feel authentic. In pre production, the two parties had to come back to the deal table once the project cost for production exceeded the budget. They all agreed to shut down pre production and worked on the script to get it down to a place where they were able to find a happy medium. Most likely through mediation, the producers and studio renegotiated a deal that kept the project in motion. Cube and Dre agreed to advance some of their own money as well as lose their upfront salaries. Along the long journey to create Shout in Compton, the producers had to work hard to bring the project to life. This negotiating example shows the importance of key principles in a negotiating, like a relationship building, preventing negative emotions, and win win principles. Initially, Dr. Dre was not interested in being a part of the project. He fears was putting a blemish on their legacy. Ice Cube was eventually able to convince Dre to come on board once he presented the first draft of the script and brought F. Gary Gray on board as the director. Gray was seen as a neutral choice because he had worked with Cube and Dre on separate projects in the past. The deal with Universal Studios allowed the dealmakers to create a win win outcome by focusing on the mutual interest of telling NWA's story. The result of finding a win win solution to get this project in production was that a strong relationship was formed for future endeavors between both parties. The deal process for Straight Outta Compton shows the complexity of negotiating deals. Straight Outta Compton was very successful in the box office and was able to create enough profit in the first week to cover production costs. Although Warner Brothers was able to receive some profit for their film they did not fund, their decision not to invest in this project shows they missed out on a great opportunity. Their strong stance and unwillingness to work out a deal kept them from proceeding with the deal with Ice Cube and Dr. Dre. On the other side of the deal, Ice Cube and Dr. Dre were able to find optimal deal by exploring their BATNA option. The deal with Universal Studios allowed them to meet their underlying interests, and by compromising and being open to negotiations, they were able to find win win opportunities and build lasting relationships with each other and the studio. This deal shows the importance of working towards a common goal so that all parties can be successful. And this will conclude my presentation. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I thank you so much for your time. Bye.